Blackberry was the world's first smartphone. The company once had over 20% of the global smartphone market and had a share price of over $230. And then everything went wrong. What happened? Well, Apple and Android happened. Consumers liked the new innovations that these brands offered, such as interacting through a touchscreen. However, these weren't the only drivers for BlackBerry's downfall. BlackBerry's leadership didn't take seriously the idea of managing for creativity in a changing market, at least not until it was too late. Today, BlackBerry has 0% of the smartphone market and has a share price of around $9. So how did BlackBerry fall from such soaring heights? We're going to examine this using the lens of Amabile and Kaira's article, Creativity and the Role of the Leader. BlackBerry had an unusual company structure where it had two CEOs, Mike Lazardiris, who focused on engineering and product management, while Jim Basile, who looked after sales and finance. Being a founder of the company and an engineer himself, Mike had been instrumental in inventing the BlackBerry and therefore wasn't able to appreciate that customers would be swayed by a new device that didn't have a long battery life or an actual keyboard with buttons. They got trapped in the need to create innovations themselves rather than being effective in leading creative people. So unintentionally, they began to stifle innovation. An open letter from an employee in 2011 to the BlackBerry CEOs says that you have many smart employees, many that have great ideas for the future, but unfortunately the culture at BlackBerry does not allow us to speak openly. This shows that the CEOs were unable to be an appreciative audience or allow ideas from their workforce. So how did BlackBerry's fail to manage for creativity? Below the top CEOs, the two sides of the companies didn't always get along, so there wasn't much collaboration. The structure made it difficult to get definitive decisions or establish clear accountability, so there was a lot of bureaucracy. That contributed the major reason for BlackBerry's demise, being speed to market. Feedback from customers that might inspire changes would stop at middle management because senior executives didn't want to tell Mike because of how it would affect their careers. All 8 of BlackBerry's directors, who were accountants, economists, or finance people, meant that like minds think alike. They were probably subject to groupthink, and when it comes to strategic oversight and corporate governance, diversity is essential. There were no processes in place to manage innovation, as they still had the same structure and systems from when they were a startup in 1984, rather than what a $20 billion company should have. The BlackBerry playbook was one of the biggest tech industry failures. BlackBerry introduced the tablet 1 year after the Apple iPad. It was a disaster, yet they didn't learn from their failures and kept selling the product. BlackBerry also lost a major unifying force when the chief operating officer retired. He had previously held teams to account for decisions and deadlines, being a steward amongst the creatives. After he left, a slack attitude towards achieving targets pervaded throughout the company. In summary, BlackBerry needed to have CEOs that were true leaders who were able to recognize their own role in crafting an environment in which innovation initiatives could flourish. Doing so required the confidence and capability to recognize the moments that mattered to innovation and taking the right action when needed. As they were unable to do so, the company has now become a relic of the past.